Alright, so you want to be able to inspect a motorcycle. You want to know exactly what to look for. I'm going to help you with that. And this is what I'm going to ask. This is going to be a very in-depth inspection. I have over 22 categories, over 180 things to actually check. And what I'm going to do is, if you can give me a thumbs up and you can leave a comment on the video, I'll tell you where you can pick this up. So when you go inspect your bike, you don't end up spending thousands of dollars on a problem. Now, the first thing you want to do when you actually call the owner about the bike is you want to ask them if they're the first owner. You want to find out if the bike's ever been laid down. And what you also want to check for, or ask first, ask them if there's any bluing on the pipes. And what I'll do, I'll throw a picture up, show you what that looks like. Alright, now the reason you don't want the bluing on the pipes is because, first of all, it means the air-fuel mixture is wrong, and it also means that the pipes are incredibly hot. So unless you want to ride the motorcycle as though your leg is sitting next to an oven, don't do it. Just tell him thanks but no thanks. That's simple. Ask him if he has any maintenance records. Most people do their own maintenance. We'll be able to, keep him honest on that with the stuff that we're going to check. But you can ask him if he has the owner's manual too, because it gives maintenance schedules. And finally, once you decide, you know what, I think I want to go check this guy's bike out, ask him for the VIN number, spend $10 and go get a motorcycle history report on it. And once everything's good, go ahead and set an appointment up to go check out your bike. Alright, now once you've already talked to the seller about the questions, everything looks good and you're ready to make the appointment to come see him, you're ready for the bike inspection. Now, a few things before you do a bike inspection. Never inspect a bike in a garage. Never inspect a bike when there's wet weather or when the weather's a little bit darker. It needs to be bright and sunny outside so you can see, everything that you're going to be looking at. Now, your first deal is going to be just walk around. It's just a basic walk around, okay? You're looking for anything that really jumps out at you. Anything that, just any dents or any irregularities with the bike. Just very basic walk around. If everything looks good so far, the next thing, and we're going to keep these are the first few things that you check so you don't waste, 30 minutes inspecting something and negotiating and then find something out later. This is to figure out if you should even be looking at the bike. On your inspection report, when you ask the seller over the phone for the VIN number, make sure you have that with you and check the VIN number against the VIN number on the bike. It should be in two locations. It should be on the steering column and it should be on the frame. Make sure that they both match. If they do not match, walk away from the bike. Okay? What that means is that, first, it's probably stolen, but second, over 80% of bikes that are actually stolen are never recovered. So what could happen is, let's say this guy, got in a wreck and tore this whole part up, and then all he did was steal somebody's bike and replace the forks with someone else's forks. Right? So walk away from it. You don't want to deal with any problems, especially when you're buying the bike. If that's good, you move on to the frame. And what you're looking for on the frame, and especially around here, you should be looking for any dents or deep scratches, and especially under here also. You should be looking for dents along the bottom of the frame or scratches. Make sure you check your weld marks for any weld cracks at all. And don't be afraid to pull things off that obscure part of the frame, for instance, like this. Just pop that right out. You can look in here on the U part of the frame. You can check your weld marks here, make sure there's nothing that looks irregular. And then you can do this on the other side of the bike also. Come all the way down here, check here, and if you see any dents, any scratches, or any weld breaks, it can actually classify the bike as a salvage title. Walk away from the bike. Don't think you're going to fix it. The frame is already compromised. Don't deal with it. You might be willing to risk your life, but what about your passenger? What happens when the frame buckles? Don't even worry about it. And finally, never buy on excitement. Go here with a level head and make sure you're checking everything, because this checklist is going to save you hundreds of dollars when it comes to negotiate. Now, your frame's good. You're going to want to check the odometer. Now, the odometer is the most manipulated component on a bike. People can put 25,000, 50,000 miles on a bike, buy one of these things, and swap it out that says 5 or 10,000 miles. So how do you know? Well, a good indicator on that is right here. On the odometer, there's either retaining screws or there's retaining bolts. And what you're going to look for is there any fraying or turning on these screws? Have they been, taken off? If they're bolts, check to see if there's any turning around the outside of the bolt. And if there is, walk away from the bike because that odometer has been changed. There's no reason there should be any marks around here at all. Another way to check is look at the basic condition of the speedometer as opposed to the rest of the bike. Does the odometer look maybe newer than the rest of the bike does? Does the rest of the bike look kind of rough and the odometer looks better? That's another way to check. And as we inspect this bike, there's going to be very, concrete things that we'll be able to go over to really judge if the odometer looks fine, but to really judge if the miles represented are the actual miles on the bike. Okay, so we've done our walk-around inspection. We've checked the VIN number, we've checked for any dents or cracks, and we checked the odometer. Everything looks good so far. So now we look at, some common items. First, you want to check the mirrors. A lot of people forget to check these, but it's really important. It's not a deal killer, but it is something that you can negotiate. You want to make sure they're firm and they don't wobble, because what's going to happen is you're going to be driving on the bike and, one of your mirrors is going to blow like that, and you don't want that to happen. So check to make sure the swivel joints are good on them. Okay, and then you're going to want to check the reflectors. Okay, check to make sure that you have reflectors on both sides, on the front or on the back. On the front, they should be along the sides of the bike. Check on the other side. And keep in mind, these are not deal killers. It's just another tool to negotiate when you actually get to the table, because when you're done with this, you're going to have, if you look here, I have condition, excellent, average, needs repair, okay? And what you're going to do is, once you're actually ready to negotiate, you look at everything that you said needs repair, and and then you can get a better deal on the bike. Now, another thing you want to check is the kickstand. Okay? You want to make sure that the kickstand is not loose, that it's nice and firm. You want to make sure that when it goes up, it stays up. And you want to make sure that it's not loose here at all, and that when you bring it back down, it springs right back down. The last thing you want to have happen when you're riding is to have that kickstand come down, catch something, catch a curb, and you end up wrecking your bike. And it's really bad stuff. Then you want to check your cables. You want to check to make sure that if there's any fraying on them. For instance, up here, you want to check sure that there's no fraying on the cables at all, that your cables look good. You want to come down to the shifter, make sure it's not loose, make sure it's good. Go ahead and pull on your clutch a little bit, and make sure the clutch has about, not much before it actually grabs and it springs right back. You're also going to want to check this side of the bike. You're going to want to check right here for the throttle. You're going to want to check to make sure there's no fraying on this wire right here. Same thing coming back here, following the linkage. Make sure there's no fraying, make sure no bolts are loose, and that everything's good. After you're done checking the cables, you're going to want to check the foot pegs. This is a really good indicator if the bike's been laid down, because at the bottom of the foot pegs, they're going to be scratched or damaged. Okay, you want to make sure they're all there also. This side, that side. And check the rear foot pegs. Now this is actually really important, because this peg, if this falls, it can actually damage the frame and create a weld break here. So make sure you check the back one. Make sure that none of this is bent. Everything looks good and it's not been dropped. Now, a scratched foot peg, it's not that big of a deal, but if it's bent beyond repair, then don't buy the bike. Walk away from it. Never buy on excitement. It's your first rule. Never buy on excitement. Check the seating. Make sure the seat is nice and secure onto the bike. Make sure they're not torn or loose. Make sure all the stitching, see this right here? Follow the stitching up, because what some people will do is they'll have, you know, the stitching come apart, they'll try to glue it together. Okay, so make sure you check the stitching along the entire side of the bike. Make sure that the passenger, depending on the bike that you want to buy, this piece right here is actually the passenger handrest. It's where they can hang on when they're sitting on the back of the bike. Some bikes have them on the sides, but just make sure that your passenger has some type of security, you know, if they're sitting on the bike with you.